So there's people saying this is the best horror film that's come out in 10 years. It's definitely up there. It Follows is directed by David Robert Mitchell and stars Mika Monroe, Keira Gilchrist, and Jake Weary. Sorry, Canada. Before I begin this plot summary, I swear this is not like every other horror film you've seen. This girl has sex. Wait. In this time, the guy she's having sex with, turns out, is only doing it because he's haunted by this ghost thing that will only go after you if you have sex, and thus the person who it's going after needs to pass it along to another person and keep passing it along, because that's the only way to be protected from it temporarily. I don't really want to tell you much else, because this is a movie you should go in as blind as you can to the plot, because the less you know about the plot itself, the scarier and more intense it will be. Okay, guys, this movie is freaking amazing. This was a really terrifying, scary movie. I don't know if I'd agree that it's the best horror film in 10 years. There was this film called The Conjuring that came out, but it's pretty close. It's up there. This is how horror films should be made, okay? The atmosphere and the mood and the suspense is so fantastic in this movie. They did all three of those perfectly. You know, it doesn't just rely on cheap jump scares like stupid Hollywood horror movies nowadays, which I'm getting so sick of that. You know how many jump scares there are in this one? Three in the entire movie. They are spaced out. They are all warranted. They aren't just stupid and pointless. They are just there to keep the pacing a little bit and keep you on your toes a tiny bit. But every other scare, everything else that makes this movie scary is suspense, is build-up, is long shots. Stop! That's supposed to do that! What the heck, Hollywood? Why can't you do that? This movie really pays homage to 70s and early 80s horror films, which is great. I love those kind of horror movies, like Halloween and a lot of these other movies. There's actually a scene that reminded me exactly of the scene in Halloween when Laurie's in the classroom and Michael Myers is across the street looking at her, and that's a really creepy, suspenseful scene. They do that kind of in here, but they do it in a different way, and they do it right. If you're going to copy Halloween, my favorite horror movie, by the way, do it right. Do a good job of it. And they do. They put it in perfectly. It works perfect, and it's creepy when they do it. The basic plot of this movie also reminds me of The Ring because of the whole you got to pass along the curse to the next person thing. Again, they do that really well. They take from these great horror films. You can tell this is made by people who love and know and respect horror movies and know what makes them good and scary and what makes them not. You could tell they went in this knowing, hey, we're going to pay homage to great horror. And they did a great freaking job. I love this movie. This movie was amazing. The cinematography, the shots of this movie. There's some great 360 shots, some great long shots. Again, building atmosphere. Great editing in this movie. Cutting the shots together. I mean, everything in this movie works great to build the atmosphere and the mood. That's what I'm going to keep coming back to in this review, because that's what makes this movie so scary. The pacing is really good. There's a couple moments where the pacing gets a little bit off, but they're really short and they're not even really a big deal, which is great. So it didn't even bother me all that much. And funny enough, for a movie where the main part of the plot is that these people have sex, it's actually really chaste. Literally, the sex scenes are like, we're having an establishing shot from outside a car or outside a window, and cut away, get to the next scene. I really appreciated that because they don't go over the top with it. It's really just, it's there because that's part of the plot. They need to establish that, and moving on. The acting in this movie is also really good. These guys, all these actors, I don't think there's really much of a weak link in this cast, at least as far as the main actors go. They're all pretty good. Also, you know what's great about these characters? They're not douchebags. Overall, they are not douchebags. They aren't unlikable like the characters in Ouija or the Friday the 13th remake. They are realistic likable characters. That, again, makes this movie great because I actually care about the main character. I want to see her survive this. I don't want to see her die. I actually care. Unlike Ouija, I don't want to see the characters dead. That's good horror, guys. That's characters you're rooting for. Okay? That's how you make a great horror film. Why can't that be done more often? This is a great movie, guys. If you love horror, it's a great one. The directing's great, the writing's great, and the score, I cannot forget this. This is very reminiscent of early 80s slash movies like Maniac and all these horror films, and late 70s. Again, what I liked, some of the score even kind of sounded like a riff on the Halloween score, but in a good way. Again, I don't mind it if you take from other horror films or riff off other horror films, but only if you do a good job, and this one does a great job. So you know what? If you're a horror fan, if you want to get scared, if you like suspense movies, check this one out. I'm going to give it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Not quite 5 stars, but that's just because I want to save the 5 stars for those really just near perfect movies. So that was my review of It Follows. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my other videos. See ya.